Let's get weird into it. Number 8. The Killer Corset. You take a deep breath. Feel that? Your lungs filling, your rib cage expanding. It's a nice automatic process you probably don't think about. Now imagine that simple act is a luxury you can't afford. Welcome to the 19th century, where the ideal female form was an hourglass figure so extreme, it looked like it was designed by someone who'd only ever seen a wasp and thought, yes, that, but with more suffering. To achieve this, you'd be laced into a corset, a kind of structural straitjacket for your torso. And we're not talking about a cute little fashion accessory. We're talking about a device made of whalebone and steel, a sadistic internal boa constrictor that you willingly invited into your life every single day. As you cinched it tighter and tighter, your ribs weren't just hugged. They were actively being encouraged to crack and deform. But the real horror show was happening on the inside. Your internal organs, which were previously enjoying a comfortable living arrangement, were now playing a frantic game of musical chairs. Your liver gets shoved into your spleen. Your stomach is squeezed up against your diaphragm, and your lungs are reduced to the size of sad little balloons. Breathing becomes a shallow, pathetic affair. Eating a full meal is a fantasy. Doctors of the time were constantly dealing with the fallout. Fainting spells, which were romanticized as a sign of feminine delicacy, but were actually just your brain screaming for oxygen. Then there was the indigestion, the constipation, and the potential for punctured organs if a steel stay decided to go rogue. Prolonged use could lead to permanent skeletal deformity and atrophied back muscles, making you entirely dependent on the corset just to sit upright. People died from this. They died from organ failure, from respiratory collapse, from complications that all stemmed from their torso being crushed into a socially acceptable shape, all for a silhouette that screamed, "I am beautiful, but I am also one large sneeze away from my lungs exiting my body." Number 7. Deadly nightshade eyes. The human eye is a marvel. It can distinguish millions of colors and process information faster than any supercomputer. But for centuries, some people looked at this incredible biological machine and thought, you know what this needs? A drop of pure, unadulterated poison. Imagine you're a Renaissance woman getting ready for a ball. You want to look captivating, mysterious, alluring. So you reach for a small vial containing an extract from the Atropa belladonna plant. You carefully squeeze a single drop into each eye. The effect is almost immediate. Your pupils, the little black holes in the center of your irises, begin to expand, swallowing the color until your eyes are dark, deep, and mesmerizingly vacant. This was the look. A wide-eyed, doe-like gaze that was considered the peak of beauty. The problem is, the active ingredient in belladonna is a neurotoxin called atropine. What you've just done is paralyze the tiny muscles in your iris that are responsible for contracting your pupil. You've basically told them to go on an indefinite coffee break. While this makes you look like a Disney princess who's seen some things, it also completely obliterates your ability to focus. Everything beyond a few inches from your face becomes a blurry, incomprehensible soup. Reading is impossible. Recognizing faces across the room is a guessing game, and that's the best-case scenario. Repeated use led to glaucoma, permanent blindness, and increased heart rate. And since this is, again, literal poison, get the dosage slightly wrong or ingest it, and you're looking at hallucinations, delirium, and a complete shutdown of your nervous system. The plant's common name, deadly nightshade, really should have been a clue. But the name belladonna literally means beautiful woman in Italian. It's a perfect, tragic summary. Women poisoning their own eyeballs with a toxin named for how pretty it made them, even as it was stealing their ability to see the world they were trying to impress. Number 6. Arsenic Complexion Wafers. Everyone wants clear, glowing skin. We use serums, creams, and cleansers. In the 19th century, they had a more direct approach. They just ate arsenic. Yes, that arsenic, the famous rat poison and go-to murder weapon of disgruntled heirs in Victorian novels. It was marketed to women in the form of arsenic complexion wafers. You'd unwrap a small, harmless-looking wafer and eat it, all in the pursuit of a pale, ethereal complexion. And in a horrifyingly roundabout way, it worked. Arsenic kills red blood cells, which gives you that desirable anemic pallor. It also causes tiny blood vessels in your face to swell and sometimes burst, which creates a delicate, rosy glow. What you're actually seeing is the first stage of your body systematically poisoning itself. While you're admiring your ghostly complexion in the mirror, the arsenic is having an absolute field day inside you. It's a chemical vandal, going around and disrupting the energy production in every single one of your cells. It's causing nausea, stomach cramps, and your hair to fall out. But you look great, right? A look that screamed, "I'm so delicate. I might be actively dying." The companies that sold this stuff knew it was poison. They put just enough in each wafer to give you the cosmetic effect without causing immediate, spectacular death. But arsenic is bioaccumulative. It builds up in your system. It gets stored in your liver, your kidneys, and your heart. Over time, it leads to goiters, nerve damage, kidney failure, and cancer. The most insidious part? It was physically addictive. If you tried to stop taking your daily dose of poison, you'd suffer withdrawal, and the cosmetic effects would reverse, leaving your skin looking sallow and blotchy. So, you were trapped. You had to keep eating poison to look beautiful, right up until the moment it finally killed you. Number 5. The Human Kebab. Picture the mid-1800s. You're at a glamorous ball. The ballroom is lit by candlelight and gas lamps, which are essentially controlled indoor fire. You're wearing the height of fashion, a crinoline. This is a massive bell-shaped skirt, held out by a cage of steel hoops, sometimes several feet in diameter. You look incredible. You also happen to be a walking fire hazard. The crinoline cage was worn under layers of highly flammable fabrics like muslin, cotton, and tulle. You were essentially wearing a meticulously constructed tinderbox. The cage structure, which was meant to be liberating compared to heavy petticoats, had a fatal design flaw. It created a perfect chimney. If a single spark from a candle, an ember from a fireplace, or a dropped match landed on the hem of your dress, the flames wouldn't just smolder. They would roar upwards in a column of fire, funneled by the oxygen rushing in from underneath the cage. You are now the center of a personal portable bonfire. Getting out was nearly impossible. The sheer volume of fabric meant you couldn't beat the flames out, and the steel cage prevented you from rolling on the ground to extinguish them. Panicked, you'd run, which only fanned the flames higher. Thousands of women died this way. There are horrific accounts of girls dancing too close to a fireplace and being engulfed in seconds. The poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's wife died after her dress caught fire from a candle. Oscar Wilde's two half-sisters died when one of their dresses caught fire at a Halloween party, and the other was set alight trying to save her. Historians estimate that in England alone, around 3,000 women burned to death in crinoline fires. It was an epidemic of fashionable combustion. People were literally cooking alive inside their own clothes, all for a silhouette that made it impossible to walk through a doorway without turning sideways. Number 4. The Golden Cage. Some beauty standards aren't just deadly. They're a prison you build around yourself, bone by bone. For 1,000 years in China, the ultimate symbol of feminine beauty, status, and marriageability was a pair of tiny, misshapen feet, known as lotus feet. And the process to create them was nothing short of torture. Imagine you are 5 years old. Your own mother takes your foot and begins to tightly wrap it in long strips of cloth, bending your 4 smaller toes under the sole of your foot until they break. Then, she pulls the heel and the front of the foot together, forcing the arch to snap upwards. This process of breaking and binding would be repeated every few days for years, with ever tighter bandages, molding your foot into a 3-inch long crescent moon shape. The pain was constant and excruciating. The risk of infection was massive. Toes would rot and fall off. The broken bones would often fail to heal properly, leading to a lifetime of agony. This wasn't just about small feet. It was a brutal piece of human origami designed to cripple. A woman with lotus feet couldn't run. She couldn't walk long distances. Her gait was a painful, tottering shuffle that was, perversely, considered erotic and delicate. She was rendered completely dependent on her family and, later, her husband. Her broken feet were a permanent physical symbol of her subjugation and her value as a beautiful, useless object. The practice caused lifelong disabilities, gangrene, sepsis, and death. It was a tradition built on the systematic breaking of children's bodies. And for what? To be considered beautiful. To be confined to the home. It was a golden cage, built not of metal bars, but of shattered bones and silk bindings. A testament to how profoundly a culture can warp the human body in the name of an ideal. Number 3. Venetian Ceruse. Queen Elizabeth I of England projected an image of untouchable, almost divine power. A key part of that image was her stark white face, a mask of purity and aristocracy. But that iconic look was achieved by slathering her skin with a thick paste called Venetian Ceruse. Its main ingredient? White lead. You wake up in the morning and begin your beauty routine by applying a slow-acting poison as foundation. The lead-based makeup, known as the spirits of Saturn, would fill in any pockmarks or wrinkles, giving you a smooth porcelain finish. It looked fantastic. For a little while. What you don't realize is that the lead is seeping through your pores and having a little party in your bloodstream. Lead is a neurological vandal. It attacks your brain, your nerves, your organs. The initial side effects were hair loss, including your eyebrows, and discoloration of the skin. And here's the vicious cycle. The ceruse would eat away at your skin, creating blemishes and scars. And what was the solution to cover up the damage caused by the lead makeup? Applying an even thicker layer of lead makeup. Over years of use, you're looking at severe lead poisoning. Your gums would develop a dark line, your teeth would rot and fall out. You'd suffer from chronic abdominal pain, muscle paralysis, and cognitive decline. Your personality would change. You'd become irritable, depressed. Queen Elizabeth herself suffered from memory loss and mood swings in her later years. Classic symptoms of long-term lead exposure. You were literally sacrificing your mind and body for a perfect complexion. The very thing you used to project an image of immortal power was methodically hollowing you out from the inside, leaving behind a beautifully painted, perfectly preserved mask of death. Number 2. Glow-in-the-dark girls. In the early 1920s, there was a substance that seemed like pure magic: radium. This newly discovered element glowed in the dark with an ethereal green light, and people went nuts for it. It was put in everything: toothpaste, chocolate, water, cosmetics. It was marketed as a miracle cure-all, a little bottle of sunshine, and it was used to paint the dials of watches so they would glow. The work was delicate, so it was given to young women with nimble fingers. You're one of them, working at the U.S. Radium Corporation factory. You're paid well, and the job feels glamorous. You and your friends are known as the Ghost Girls, because at the end of your shift, you literally glow. Your hair, your clothes, your skin all faintly shimmer in the dark. It's fun. You paint your nails with the radium paint for a night out, to get a fine point on your brush for the tiny numbers on the watch dials. Your supervisor teaches you a little trick. Just put the bristles in your mouth to shape them. Lip, dip, paint. You are, of course, swallowing radioactive poison, but you're told it's harmless. The company knows it isn't. The male scientists handling large amounts of radium are using lead screens and protective gear, but you and the other girls are given nothing. Your body, being the efficient but occasionally stupid machine it is, sees the radium and thinks, "Oh, hey, calcium, let me use this to build strong bones." It deposits the radium directly into your skeleton, and then the horror begins. The radium lodged in your bones is constantly emitting alpha radiation. Tiny, relentless cannonballs tearing through your cells. Your teeth fall out. Your jawbone begins to disintegrate in a condition so horrific they named it radium jaw. Your spine crumbles. Your bones are so brittle they break under your own weight. You are being eaten alive from the inside out by your own glowing skeleton. Dozens of these women died, but their fight for justice was monumental. They sued the company, and their case led to massive changes in labor safety laws and the establishment of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. They painted themselves into an early grave, but their glowing ghosts changed the world. Number 1. The X-ray facial. Imagine going to a spa for a little self-care. You're not there for a massage or a mud mask. You're there to have your unwanted facial hair permanently removed. The method? Blasting your face with X-rays. This was a real and terrifyingly popular practice from the 1920s through the 1940s. The logic seemed sound, in a, we just discovered this cool new radiation and have no idea what it does kind of way. Doctors knew that high doses of X-rays caused hair loss in patients. So, entrepreneurs with questionable ethics and zero medical training thought, why not weaponize that for beauty? They set up salons, called things like the Trico system, and promised women a lifetime of smooth, hair-free skin. You sit in a chair, and a technician who was probably a shoe salesman last week aims a large humming machine at your face. They tell you to hold still. You feel a faint warmth as invisible radiation storms into your skin. Those X-rays are not just zapping the hair follicle. They are carpet bombing your DNA. They are shredding the very blueprint of your cells, causing mutations and chaos on a microscopic level. But in the short term, the hair falls out. It works. You go back for session after session, sometimes dozens of them, because the hair, stubbornly, keeps trying to grow back. The damage is cumulative. Each dose is one more ticket in a lottery you do not want to win. The first signs were usually skin atrophy. Your skin would become thin, wrinkled, and spider-veined, like brittle parchment. Then came the ulcers that wouldn't heal. And then, years or even decades later, the final bill came due. Cancer. Squamous cell carcinomas, tumors, and horrifying growths that would eat away at your face. Women lost their jaws, their noses, their eyes. Many died. It was a sci-fi death ray marketed as a convenience. A permanent solution that came with a delayed, but guaranteed, death sentence. It was beauty on a payment plan, and the final bill was your own face. And that's our time for today. More strange things are always coming, so I'll see you in the next one.